I don't care where you're at today. I bet you're cold. I bet your hands are cold. I bet your feet's cold. George Wynn told me yesterday I must have a warm heart because my hands were like ice. It's cold. And this morning, all you nicotine lovers, I just got a story for you. I'm coming up 5:15 and I'm running maybe 5 over speed limit. And I'm driving along and I glance over and some dude's got his window down and it's 20 degrees and I'm like, what is wrong with you? Well, what's wrong is he's smoking.
He's smoking.
And he's smoking. He's blowing that smoke out the window and I went, don't you blow that smoke on me. Don't you blow that smoke on me. But it was so funny. It's 20 degrees, guys. Don't roll your windows down. Brr. Today is Wonderful Wednesday because Paul Kiker's here. And today we're going to talk about lots of stuff because there's lots of stuff going on. We haven't seen each other since Cash Patel got the big nod.
That's right.
Oh,
That's
my
right.
God, am I
Yeah.
excited. Am I excited. He's got Mr. Clean, he's got Pine Sol, he's got him some bleach, and he is going to clean house.
I hope so.
I'm so excited. He is genius.
Yes.
You know, if you look at the group that, I want a picture of the outgoing cabinet and I want a picture of the incoming cabinet. I want that picture because I want to have some comedy and some reality. I think it'd be awesome. I'm so excited. I mean, this cabinet is like those dudes. Oh, and I have ordered you some socks and I can't wait for you to wear them.
Oh, awesome.
They're Donald Trump dancing socks.
That's funny.
And they're coming out of Orlando, Florida, made in USA. And they better get here before Christmas. So I told my kids, I said, this is what you're getting for Christmas. You get Trump socks, you get Trump socks, you get Trump socks, you get Trump socks. That's it.
That's funny.
We're going to start the new year on a budget.
Yeah.
So there's our budget. You're going to get I think they were $10.99 a pair. That's what you're getting. That's what you're getting. Now, we've got some bragging rights for your young'un. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, they
This
lost the
kid,
game.
now, I don't care. I don't care. He was an 8-year-old little boy and came with you to the studio.
He sure did.
Very quiet, very polite, very nice. And now we get to see him on the football field.
Yes, yes.
How cool is that?
That is cool. So, I mean, I've been so happy for him in several circumstances because so for those of you that don't know, my youngest son, Will.
Overachiever.
Yeah, he got a chance to be a preferred walk-on for Georgia Tech. He had a couple of scholarship opportunities, but he really wanted to go to Georgia Tech. So that's where he went. Mm-hmm. And he's worked his little tail off. You know, the thing is, I've always told parents coaching kids coming up, I'm like, it's a completely different level to play at college.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you have to love the sport.
Yeah, yeah.
You have to be disciplined. The fascinating thing about Will is he listens to wise counsel. He's real quiet. You know, that's completely different than me, his older brother, Kel, and Katie. Now, don't get me wrong, Will talks, but he tends to be a little bit more quiet than the rest.
Yeah.
But tough as nails, works hard in the weight room. I got to give Coach Standard credit because when Coach Standard came to Gilmer County here, I don't think Will would have had that opportunity. Maybe if Tank was here, he would have. Wesley Tankersley. I love Wesley. But that opened the doors for him. So he gets a chance to play at Georgia Tech, works hard. Got to play on special teams in the bowl game last year his redshirt freshman year. Coming into the spring, he broke a bone in his foot.
Dang.
So 2 surgeries, and 6 months later he kept working. And then got a chance, I guess this is the 4th game that he got a chance to start on special teams. So for the Georgia game, he was punt return, kickoff return. And did his job, did a good job.
Yeah,
but a chance to be on the field at Sanford Stadium
Oh, I tell you.
that game.
I tell you.
It was something
Isn't it
else.
100,000 people are there?
Somebody said it was 94,000.
Okay. That's
And
crazy.
it was.
That's crazy.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I had season tickets to Georgia up until about 2015. Kids got busy. We didn't get a chance to go that much, but I forgot just how crazy busy it was.
Yeah, and fun.
And the fun thing is, this is the great thing about a small community. You know, there was so many Georgia fans that are there because there's obviously more Georgia fans than there are Georgia Tech, at least in our local community that I know. But I mean, I probably had 10 people that were texting, you know, cheering for Will and trying to talk to him. A couple local folks while they were in their warm up got their picture made with him, the Purvis family and the Benitez and the Brackens. So it was
that's awesome.
It was really enjoyable, and I'm proud for him. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
They start at 6 a.m. in the morning. till noon.
Yeah.
Breakfast at, basically get up at 6, report, practice football, learn their playbooks. That's a whole studying in itself, what they have to learn.
Is their coach good?
I love Coach Key.
Okay.
I mean, not only, so the thing about Will is, right, like you always want your kids to be around wise individuals that point them in the direction of things that matter. And that's it. Like what he's learning in life advice there with Coach Key is building a better man. The camaraderie they have on the team, I mean, they've got a lot of camaraderie there. So the program's rebuilding, and I really like Coach Key. I like all the coaches that are surrounded him. And so, yeah, they've got good leadership.
That's awesome.
But 6 a.m. to 12 is essentially, then he goes class, and it's Georgia Tech, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no mercy for athletes.
No slackers.
So then it's usually typically class from 12 to about 5:30, study hall. Will's done good enough. He's not required to go to study hall, but he goes anyway. 7:30 typically that's over, back to his apartment and do it again, 6 days a week.
Well, you know what? When he first went to Tech, this is so funny. It took me back to being a 14-year-old kid. My grandmother, here's the Tech campus, and here's North Avenue, and my grandmother lived in the housing project.
Yes.
Right there, where she lived on $105 a month and had $5 a week for groceries. And I was working as a waitress at Pizza King when I would come and visit her. And I would save my tips, and I would go to the Georgia Tech store, and I bought myself Georgia Tech t-shirts. Well, my Uncle Fred graduated from Georgia Tech, one of the highest in the class, went immediately to work where the same company employed him all of his life up in Akron, Ohio. And I just was very proud that I had an uncle at Georgia Tech. So I would take my little waitress money and I would go to the Tech bookstore, which was right on the corner of North Avenue and Techwood, and I would buy me like a t-shirt a week. And so I had the coolest collection of Georgia Tech t-shirts. Would I love to have those vintage shirts back today? Yes, I would. Yes, I would. I would get Will Kiker to sign one for me. I think that would be the coolest thing ever. I think they were $6.99, $5.99, something like that. And I bought every different model. And this is when we still lived in Orlando, but we were moving back to Atlanta. And so I would go back to Orlando and say, I have a Georgia Tech t-shirt. Like, duh,
That's awesome.
It was awesome. It was awesome. And again, Uncle Fred had that degree and immediately was hired. So, immediately.
Hey, I'll tell you what's amazing. I mean, his first semester at Georgia Tech, because he's a civil engineering major, he was being recruited his first semester.
Wow.
Like, I mean,
Isn't that the coolest thing?
Yeah. And
you know how many parents sent their kids to college to get a dumb degree? I said it, and I'll stand by it.
Yeah.
A dumb degree in something that they cannot get a job at.
Yeah.
Non-employable, and their parents spent $400,000 for their education.
I know.
It is sad. I know a young lady sitting in Swanee, Georgia today who graduated from UGA, and her mama's still paying her debt because the daughter didn't pay it. The girl's never worked a day in her life. And I'm like, that's when you get the hickory out. Like my granny said, get me a good keen hickory, you're going to whip your tail.
Well, let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
And for those of you that know, we have no clue what we're going to talk about before we get here. It's just kind of, there's no agenda.
No agenda.
One thing I do want to give is, so Joseph Sisson is a local guy, great guy. He takes photos for Georgia. And he texts me, he's like, what number is Will and what's he going to be on? So those pictures, I got to give credit to Joseph Sisson.
Yeah.
Because he snuck me a couple of
those
those while he was
pictures look
taking
great.
pictures. Oh, he does a great job.
Yeah, we're going to share those photos. Trace, we got them ready to go?
Yeah, he actually showed them while we were talking.
Okay.
So let's talk about that college for a minute. So one of the things that I have seen over the past over the 26 years that I'm in the career, I've developed some advice probably about 15 years ago. You save for your retirement first before you pay for your kids' college education. And here's the reason why.
I've heard you say that, and it makes so much sense. I did all the opposite, so yeah.
Well, I mean, most of us do, right?
Sure.
Like, we want our kids to come out of school.
We're stupid.
We want our kids to come out of school debt-free.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, So sometimes our kids being challenged is better for them, okay? Because any challenge, whether it's in the weight room or, the Bible tells us that God doesn't waste any bad event that happens to us, right? If we keep our eyes on Him,
Now, he and I are going to have a talk about this when I get there. I do have some questions.
he uses it for our good somehow, right? And it may not necessarily be for us. It may be that we're able to encourage somebody else because we've walked the path.
And say, if I survive this crap, anybody can. Yeah.
I mean, you've walked the path. You've walked some
crazy stuff.
Some
hot coals.
Horrible paths.
Hot coals, yeah.
So, but the thing is save for your retirement first, because nobody's going to loan you money to retire.
Right.
There's no do-overs in retirement, because once you can't work physically, then you're in trouble. Whatever you have is whatever you have. And I'm telling you, because of the deception of our government, the inflation that they put into the system, the lying, I'm sorry, it's pure lying about the consumer price inflation numbers. They're always gaming it to have a hidden tax in there. Social Security is going to be a miserable existence if that's all you have to live on. Because think about how much your property taxes, even if you own your home free and clear, your property taxes have gone up. So your kids now, there are things you have to make decisions on. There are desires and there are needs. You need to be able to save so that you can retire.
Sure.
You may have a desire to pay for your kids' college, and if you can do that without borrowing money, that's awesome. But your kids can work and struggle through. They can borrow money. You know, there's all kinds of things that they can do if they desire it enough to get that college education. The second thing that I tell people is, and let's finish that, because I have seen time and time again a situation like you're talking about. I think it's the dumbest thing on the face of the earth. The only debt that you can't bankrupt is college debt. That just...
But then,
and the rates are ridiculously high, right?
That's what.
So
yes, the rates, because they fall for that. I did an SBA loan and I fell for it. I didn't know that it would escalate.
Yep.
And every year it went up. Took me 20 years. It's when the tornado hit.
Yep.
And the SBA looked good. It was 1.97%. Not when I finished it. It wasn't.
Then you got locked into those terms. And our government shouldn't be in that position.
They're helping you.
And the second thing is if you can't bankrupt college debt, then you know what? Your rate should be substantially lower, because that's a no-risk loan for the people that are out there. And in addition,
where did that money come from?
The money for the
loans for the kids. Where actually in the government did that money come from? Is it our taxpayer money? Where did they dig that money up? Because I heard a number one day that just sounds astronomical, that there's that much student debt out there that's still owed, and I can't even remember. It was ginormous.
I can't remember the number.
It was huge.
And frankly, I know how to deal with it, but I don't know exactly where it came from. I've not got into I know there are private companies that will loan and the government guarantees. And then
that's what I wondered. Was there a mortgage lender, not a mortgage lender, but was there a lender involved?
There are.
That could negotiate.
Yeah, there are lenders. But I mean, what are they going to negotiate, right? I mean, the kids either borrow it or they don't.
Yeah, sure.
The terms are ridiculous.
No equity. There's no collateral there. You don't put up any kind of, you don't put up a home, you don't put up a car, you don't put up your bicycle, you just borrow the money on your signature, right?
Yeah. But let me tell you, I know grandparents that have co-signed for their grandkids' college note. I know parents that have co-signed for the kids' college note. And here's the thing, if that child refuses to make those payments, they will garnish your Social Security wages. There's no way you're going to get around it. You're going to pay that money. And that's something that's dangerous that you got to do. Save for yourself first to retirement. And then when you're hitting your targets to save so that you can retire at some point in the future, then save some extra for your kids. Okay, and here's another thing. Look, if you're going to be a teacher, doesn't make sense to go out of state and have $300,000 worth of debt, okay? Because all you need is that certificate to get in that school. If you want to be a professor, maybe it makes sense to go get one of these bigger degrees that are out there. But you don't get paid any more as a teacher in Georgia,
right?
Unless you have your doctorate or stuff like that. But even doctorate, wherever it is, your master's, you don't get paid more to have a degree from Harvard is what you do from North Georgia College. So it's all a balance between, okay, if you really can afford to send your kid and you want them to have that experience, great, right? But to go borrow money to have a much more expensive degree to get that piece of paper to make no more money, that's a different story.
Doesn't make any sense.
So my argument is if you want to go the corporate ladder and you want to run Fortune 500, then go for the big school, join your sororities and fraternities because you need those connections that are associated with it, and spend the money to do it. But if you're, teachers, nurses,
The outcome is worth the risk.
the outcome's worth the risk, right? If you want to be a major specialist doctor for neurology or cardiology, yeah, an Emory degree or a Harvard degree or somewhere may make a lot more sense. But if you're going to be family practice, and that doesn't mean that you can't be specialized if you go there. I'm just saying you've got to calculate the cost versus the income ability on the other side. And I think that's sometimes, like I've had 3 conversations with clients across the nation in the past 3 months. Their kids are getting ready to start school, and I have that conversation, and people just don't think about that, right?
And they think that you're being critical when you're really being thoughtful of them.
Oh yeah.
To take care of yourself first.
Yeah. Well, one kind of, I think
I had a pity party about 2 weeks ago. You must have read my mind.
Oh no.
Because I sat down and added up. If I hadn't done this, if I hadn't given this kid a down payment, if I hadn't paid for this kid's truck and this kid's car and this kid, then I would have X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
And I kind of got a little angry at myself.
Well, and I get it. And this is one thing that I tell people. Life has a perfect rear view mirror
I know.
and a complete
Mine looks bad.
a completely fogged front mirror.
Looks so bad.
So I haven't had time because I'm busy and chasing kids around, but I was in the Optimist Club for the longest time. And I like the Optimist Club because one thing the Optimist creed is to forget the mistakes of the past and press on to the greater achievements of the future. Now, there's a tremendous amount of truth in that, but there's one other thing, it doesn't ring as well. Forget the mistakes of the past, but learn the lessons and press on to the greater achievements of the future.
Right.
So that's the bad thing, had I bought this stock, had I done this, had I sold that.
Yeah.
I mean, we all face it. We
Yeah.
all face it.
Yeah.
We do
But
the best we can
all
with
the
information we have.
stupid things I did, I would honestly go back and do all but one again. And
Yeah.
and that's interesting because I would continue to help my children. I would not pay for their education though. I would let them decide, go to Chattahoochee Tech, become a diesel mechanic, become a whatever. Go to Chattahoochee Tech,
Right.
an affordable school.
Yeah.
Don't choose that Ivy League because, quite frankly, my kids weren't that caliber. I hope they're not watching today. Don't y'all watch today? But it's funny because I think my son has a better education than anybody in the family, but he has made a lot of mistakes. But he teaches himself by watching YouTube. Isn't that crazy?
Oh yeah. It's not crazy.
He's a great
It's
mechanic.
brilliant.
He's doing woodwork. He's doing carpentry. He's a good plumber. He's done all these things that pay. Because if your toilet stopped up, you're going to call somebody.
Yep.
You don't care how much he's going to bill you. If it's 2 o'clock on Christmas Eve and you got family coming the next day, you're going to pay a plumber. So I think common sense sometimes is a great education too.
Well, and the willingness, problem solving, that's one thing. School doesn't do a good job of teaching you problem solving anymore. School doesn't do a good job of challenging. Right? Now, it sounds cruel, but when I had a basic understanding of swimming, one thing that my dad did do good, we were at Carter's Lake, and
He threw you out and
he
just
threw
said,
me out.
drowned or swim.
He threw me out
Yeah.
and kept the boat away from me. And I don't know how old I was, but I
Wow.
remember it.
Yeah.
And I was kind of panicking, and he talks me through. He's like, okay, made me, once I got the swimming part down, he kept the boat away. So I got tired. He's like, okay, lay on your back and float and tread water. Right?
Wow.
Like that was trial by fire.
Yeah.
A lot of times with my kids, I would send.
And that's funny, treading water and just laying there relaxing is my favorite thing to do in a swimming pool.
Yes.
Swim laps and then just lay there and enjoy it.
Yes.
Yeah, that is so cool.
So it doesn't do a good job teaching problem solving. We do a good job of teaching kids
It saved your
multiple choice
life.
tests.
It
And
saved
now
your
that
life.
did.
You didn't drown.
But
Yeah.
those events are good for us in life. And, so the problem solving, and this is where I am. Starting right before COVID, it was like you call somebody to come do something and they were so ridiculously expensive.
Yeah. Or not
Or
available because there was a waiting list.
It was 60 days to get there.
Yeah.
I just started pulling up YouTube. The
Yeah.
things I do now, and I get tons of
That's
gratification
funny.
out of it. It may
Yeah.
take me twice the time to do it than
Sure.
an expert will, but I have the gratification of getting it done. And problem solve. I've learned to do, now I can do a lot of things because of how I grew up, but I have learned to do more things in the past 4 years work on equipment, replace things. I've learned to rebuild carburetor by just watching a YouTube.
Yep, that's it.
And it took me all day to learn how to rebuild the carburetor, but I actually enjoyed learning how to do it.
I think it's amazing. I mean, I used to, it's funny because I was late getting to YouTube because I just thought, and now I'm like, okay, I need to make this, I need to do this, I want to see how they did that, I want to accomplish. I got a YouTube, and it makes sense. So.
Well, you know, Jordan Peterson is completely upending the education system. And it's just like anything else. There's going to be a battle between the old and a battle between the new. But Jordan Peterson's argument is, once you create content and you put it out there, you know, for free, unless something has changed, that content should be available for everybody.
Sure.
So they've teamed up with a college out of Savannah, and it's the
with
the no, it's not SCAD. No. I can't remember the name of it, but the Alliance for Responsible Citizenship. So they're building this whole database to where you can, you know, for self-learners, you can go learn things through YouTube type videos,
that is so cool.
Digital media.
Yeah.
And the cost is going to be substantially less.
Yeah.
So
see, no brainer.
You know, and the argument is go learn this. If some people need that structure.
Yeah.
But go learn this. You have a proficiency test. If you can take that test, and then you've obviously demonstrated that you can learn the material, and you don't have to go to some university that is so detached from reality that they don't even understand what the common individual is serving. And here's one thing I've learned about or listened to about Trump's cabinet picks. Your intellectual elite, okay? Your intellectual elite.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you haven't been trained. You haven't done this. You don't have the experience. That's a self-righteous thought process that is wrong, okay? God created us all with unique strengths and abilities. And I have been amazed at what I have learned from clients over the years of people who aren't really good at finances, but there's something that they've learned in their life that they share that actually applies to finances, right? And it makes me better at what I do. So I'm always trying to learn from other people. And quite frankly, I love to learn from people outside the industry because it's a fresh set of eyes.
Sure.
Now, if you get somebody who is trained in the way that these intellectual idiots, sorry, they are, fools maybe, believe that it should be, then how does our country change directions, right? Because what they have...
You're stuck in a rut.
You know,
you're stuck in a rut.
These people before were trained that that doesn't matter, and now we're in the situation that we're in, and there's no way to get out of it without experiencing some pain. We're just going to have to experience bad pain now, or catastrophic pain later. Well,
catastrophic pain was watching the TV when they said, oh, well, Thanksgiving dinner is going to be $54. Liar, liar, pants on fire. It was not even close to that. Forget it. It was like $249. And I'm like, seriously? Because by the time sage was $8 for a little bottle, I used 6 bottles of sage. Okay, there went your Thanksgiving budget. You know, it was $8 a bottle. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I went to 5 different stores, so I spent a fortune in gas trying to find cheaper sage. That's stupid. So I finally gave in, bit the bullet, and bought the McCormick, and it was $8 a bottle. So I used 6 bottles of that. I think I have 2, I actually bought 2 extras, so now I have 2 left for the next occasion. But the reality is that stuff will hit you in the face, and the truth will, it is, you know. They're going to tell you one thing, but you have enough sense to do your math and go to the store, and when they tell you it's going to do, they're lying. They're absolutely lying.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy because when we look at, honestly, the generation of my grandmother or even me being a shopper, I used to go in and just put what I wanted in the buggy because I knew that I could afford it.
Yeah.
That's not true anymore.
No.
So you selectively shop, which is crazy. In America, we should not be selectively shopping because we're buying what's on sale.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. If I find tomato soup on sale, I buy tons of it. I open the last one night before last, and I've been in a panic because it's not on sale anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay full price.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I'm going to buck the system. I'm not paying full price.
No, I agree. And one thing I love about my wife, she's like, what do you want to eat tomorrow? And I was like, because she was going to the grocery store, I said, I want a ribeye. I'm craving a ribeye like crazy. Because we've been toying with this carnivore diet. And it's so
How's
much
that
easier
work?
to cook. Well, I love it so far.
Okay, tell me what you do for it, because I have been trying to get some protein in me, just
Yes.
protein.
Okay, so here's the thing I'll tell you, y'all. I am not a medical expert in any way whatsoever. This is just something that I've been toying with because Chris Martinson through Peak Prosperity is doing this huge food webinar.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I've learned over the past 3 years just by being associated with them, there are major issues in our food.
Oh,
There's
sure.
major issues
Sure.
in our
Thank
food.
God for RFK
Yeah.
coming on board. Yes.
Yeah, so if RFK comes in, maybe it's going to take some time to work everything out of the system, but I am so excited about him taking a
Read the
wrecking ball.
ingredients of the cereal you're feeding your children.
Oh, yeah.
You'll have a heart attack.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It's
So-
awful.
So there's a guy by the name of Dr. Ken Berry out of Nashville, and Holly and I had listened. He's going to be on the food webinar with Chris Martinson at Peak Prosperity, and I cannot wait because when Chris puts these things together, they've been working on it for months. They get experts in there, they fact check everything, so they know the data is right. But I had learned enough in the conversations around. I'm like, hey, I'm going to try this carnivore thing. So their argument is there's a lot of food allergies in our, we have a lot of food allergies because of all the products and processed foods that
Oh,
are in
sure.
there.
I have, yeah.
So just animal products. So eggs in the morning, which, and then I was eating chicken, turkey, or beef jerky. I make my own beef jerky, and then some type of meat at night. Well, I did that for
With no
I
carbs
cheat-
during the
no
day?
carbs. No
Okay,
carbs.
do you crash because you have no
I
carbs?
don't.
Really?
It's the most bizarre thing that I've ever
That's
experienced.
awesome. Yeah.
I had more energy than I've had at any other time prior.
Wow.
And I love salads, so the one thing that I missed was a salad. So the way
So
I did
with
it,
this, truly, it is the meat product.
yeah, it's
You-
meat. Now I
okay.
did cheese. Some people say cheese
Okay.
doesn't count,
Uh-huh.
but it had to be natural, kind of organic cheese, but no carbs.
Okay.
And it's amazing. So we went and looked. Holly started looking. When you really pay attention to your food, there's bacon without all the preservatives in it. I can't eat prior bacon. But here's the fascinating thing. So for 3 weeks, I only cheated on Sunday. I'd eat carbs, I'd eat some popcorn, I'd eat a few things like that. That was just kind of my cheat because I basically cut out all the sugars. And so it was about 3 weeks before I had a salad. And I love salads. Well, now I can't eat half the dressings that I ate before because they're so sugary rich, just, not good. And so
Wow.
his argument is you do the carnivore for 90 days, and then you slowly reintroduce foods. So like for me, I loved Olive Garden dressing. I love Brianna's French something. I know what the bottle looks like. I can't remember the name. And they're like ranch.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time eating any of those now. I'm just basically down to
That's crazy.
um,
Well, I'm making this
vinegar.
thing. I'm glad you said eggs because I make this thing. I made it about 7 or 8 years ago for a ladies' meal on New Year's Eve. We had a little get together. And it's eggs and bell peppers and onions and a little tiny bit of cheese and a little tiny bit of ham. And you do it in a little muffin. And so there's no bread involved. And it's just protein, basically. And then the antioxidants with the peppers. And I would do those and put 2 of them in a Ziploc bag and put them in the fridge. And then the next day, zap it for 15 seconds. And that would be my breakfast on the way to work. And it really felt good. It was light, it was
Yeah.
good, and it was full of good stuff for you. So can you eat, you can't eat vegetables though. You would have to leave those vegetables out of it.
You're not supposed to eat vegetables as a part of it. Now, I've introduced a few vegetables in. They don't make me feel bad.
But
Like,
you
I
could
love
put the
peppers
ham and
stuff
cheese
like that.
because the cheese qualifies,
Yeah, cheese qualifies, but the ham,
doesn't.
if it has any preservatives in it whatsoever,
Okay.
we were cutting that out. Like
Okay,
it has to
okay.
be fresh. So
Wow.
we were going as close to the source as we possibly can. Life-changing for me. I did have one day where I started getting a little tired.
Well, you want me to tell you who's got T-bones on sale today?
Who's that?
Ingles.
Ingles. Well, that's what I was going to say.
Ingles, $9.88 a pound.
What started this before I went down a rabbit trail was I told Holly I wanted ribeyes, and she
Yeah.
comes home with like New York strips or something, or T-bones is what it
Yeah,
was because
yeah.
they were half the price of
Right,
what the ribeyes
exactly,
were. And She's like,
exactly.
I said ribeyes. She was like, they were too expensive. We're going to eat these. I was like,
That's
yes,
right.
ma'am.
That's
I'm good
right.
with that.
I'm good with that. Yeah, yeah. Well, I like the T-bone because I cut out the good part, the little
Oh
tenderloin.
yeah, the fillet side.
So you have that, and then the other part, I cut it up and make it in strips and make myself a sandwich the next day.
Oh, yeah,
So I have
yeah.
a steak sandwich with mushroom and onions on it and a little bit of white cheese, and that's a good lunch. or do it without the bread. Even do it as a wrap.
Right.
You can do it as a wrap, so that T-bone can actually make 2 meals.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, that's
tell Holly to run by there today. They're on sale.
Yeah, I think she did. They've been on sale for a couple of days, so
Yeah,
we already have them.
okay.
But you know, just things like that we try to pay attention to, just little details. And it's sad where we are now.
Do you crave sugar?
Oh man, not really sugar so much. Like during the day, I don't.
Yeah.
But in the evening, once I settle down and my mind settles down, I crave chocolate and caramel.
Have you ever been a Coca-Cola guy?
No.
Really?
Now, 20 years ago, I
Yeah.
drank 2 Mountain Dews a day.
Yeah.
When I quit it, Carrie at my office is worked with me for 20 years. She will say that I was the biggest turd.
Because you gave up your
Because
caffeine.
the only other word I could think that the word she actually said lines with donkey.
Yeah.
That for 3 weeks that I've ever been.
Wow.
And
wow.
it was hard to get off of.
Yeah.
And then several years later, I had one I couldn't. I'll have a root beer every now and then, but I just don't like sodas. I don't drink them.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Quick Burger in Jasper
Yes.
for years was just our staple. And I think it ought to be a crime for there to be any name on that building other than the Quick Burger. And I'm still pouting that the last person who changed it, you know, all the people who changed it after the original owners kept it the Quick Burger.
Yes.
It's the dadgum Quick Burger.
Yes.
It'll always be the Quick Burger.
What did
I
they
don't care
change it
what
to?
that putrid color is they painted it. It's another Mexican restaurant.
Oh,
But,
okay.
but my favorite food memory ever is being in a Dodge Coronet, sitting there ordering a little cheeseburger, an order of fries, and a Coke, a real Coke. Now this was 1971.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember what it cost, but there's never been a meal. I don't care if you're Guy, that big hunk on TV, or if you're Emerald Lagasse, I don't care who you are. You never made anything as good as the Cagle family made that little hamburger with them chopped up onions on it, on that little warmed bun, and French fries, and a dadgum real Coke. It's real Coke before they started messing with real Coke. That was like, holy crap, that's the best thing in the world. It ought to be a law that a place, well, look at the Speed Burger. They've been in business over 60 years. They're so incredible. It's always the same. It's always the same. You know, I don't like change. I don't like change. I don't want nothing to ever change. And when I went by yesterday, and I had a friend who had to pick me up because I had to have my car worked on. And she said, now where are we going? And I said, past the Quick Burger. Well, it hadn't been the Quick Burger for 2.5 years, but I'll always call it the Quick
I always
Burger.
call it Quick. I didn't even know it changed, and I went by there the other day and said something about it.
Yeah. Well, that food at that Quick Burger was basic and simple and good, and we all loved it. And it was those little frozen patties that they used at the school, but we loved them. You know, we loved them. And I think if we looked at the ingredients on that box of frozen meat, it was probably much healthier than what we're being served today.
Oh, yeah.
Because how many years ago was that? 48 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, things have changed. We have allowed
They have.
things to come into our food. We should have stopped the process.
Right.
Because that hamburger and those fries at Quick Burger tasted like a hamburger and fries.
Right.
It didn't taste like chemicals. It was just amazing. But what we're doing now, and I looked this morning, I had Cheerios. But it was Cheerios with almonds, and I'm thinking, well, I'm eating healthy today.
Yeah.
And then I start reading the ingredients on the back of the box, and I'm like, spit it out. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Because we give our babies Cheerios when they're little because they won't choke on them because they dissolve in their mouth. That's good. But if you read the contents on all the things we're putting in our mouth, we really kind of blew it because we just trusted everybody.
Well, and that's the problem. There was a great generation that their word mattered, okay? The generation that came through the Great Depression, their word mattered. They did what they said. They earned our trust as a society. Then the next generation comes along, the baby boomers, a little bit more spoiled. They pursue money a whole lot more, okay? And they get into these positions of power, and then we assume that they're trustworthy, but they're making handshake deals behind the scenes all about profitability. That's why I say we're not a Christian nation anymore, because we worship money. Because think about it. The first answer to any problems, here's a whole bunch of money. You know, a parent that works too much and and refuses to do their duty as a parent throws money at their kids.
My
right?
kids would tell you I did that, and
I mean,
I'm guilty of it.
We all are at some point.
I'm guilty of it.
But the reality is we see that in hindsight, but that's what's happened in our society. So this corporate creep, and you know, one of the things I've noticed, you know, Joe Rogan did an unbelievable interview with Mark Andreessen. And Mark Andreessen said out loud the things that I have known have been occurring is the observation of a small business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I went independent back in 2004, it was relatively easy for me to leave corporate. Okay, so I went, opened the business, got started, hung my shingle. Where we are today, I have grown fast enough to stay ahead of all these regulatory things that we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many stupid regulations that we have to deal with.
And we hope those are going to some go away.
Well, I hope so, but they have nothing to do with protecting the client.
No.
Now, one little piece of it has
it's
something to do
creating
with,
work for workless people.
well, what it's
people.
doing is it's raising the barrier to entry. So if you're a big firm and you've got 500 advisors, then you can have one compliance person in that infrastructure. You may need one or two more, but you've got one compliance person. You know, I've got 3 advisors right now, and I have one compliance person. So it's all about raising that barrier to entry. So when you have corrupt politicians, okay, and like I responded to Marjorie Taylor Greene the other day. She's like, we're coming after all the corrupt Democrats. I'm like, I didn't say exactly what I was
after
thinking
all the
because
corrupt.
there was a few expletives that came out in my mind. I'm like, no, you go after all the corrupt people regardless of party.
Right.
Right? Because there's corruption on both sides. But what's happened is these, and I don't blame the monopolies, but the big firms have been influencing by contributing to campaigns, politicians to push bills through that raise the barrier to entry. They've gamed Wall Street to where the big firms have access to capital easier than we do. You know, there was a time, I mean, just in my lifetime, back in the year 2000, I could walk into the bank, I had a good reputation, I was known for working hard, and I could get a signature loan.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
Can you do that today?
No. Me
No,
and
you
Mark
can't.
Whitfield handshake and we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, so after the collapse in 2008, they raised the barrier for small banks to be open, and now you're controlled.
They destroyed the small banking industry.
They literally destroyed.
They
the
destroyed the small banking industry. And thank God, Community Bank of Pickens County is the one standing strong. The one standing strong.
Yep.
All the rest of them agreed to failure. They agreed to be
they didn't.
taken over.
They didn't agree.
Well,
they were forced to.
Right. It was either that or shut your doors.
Yeah, you know, and they go in,
Yeah.
they force the closure of those banks, and then they handed them to former regulators and said, here, we're going to guarantee the loans. What they should have done is gone in there and said, okay, everybody in the C-suite is fired. You're banned from the banking industry, okay? You screwed up on your watch, whether it was outside your control or not, you're done from the industry. Let's find some new people from the community to come in here, and then we're going to guarantee these loans to turn it around. But see, that didn't build the pockets of the former regulators and the big banks. What that did was further consolidate power. So Mark Andreessen in his call had a meeting with the Biden administration, and in his interview with Joe Rogan, and he lays out all of the things that they said. We want a few companies that we can control everything, and then they're going to have it all. So they wanted monopolies, whereas what I hope Trump can do when he gets in there, and this is what will make America great again. Stock market may go down 50%, okay? Who knows whether it will?
Just hold on and don't sell.
I don't know, but if you cut all this regulatory tape and you level the playing field, and you fix the banking system where small businesses can get access to capital in a similar way that Wall Street, these big monopolies can, then your middle class is going to come thriving back. And another thing, we're going to have more innovation than we've ever had before, because if you're a big monopoly, you maximize profitability. If you're an entrepreneur, you find a way to do it better. So if we open up and get rid of all these stupid regulations, cost of housing is going to come down. And then we're going to have new innovative products, because entrepreneurs are going to be able to invest into their ideas and not spend all their time filling out paperwork for some government regulator to protect some monopoly that's given them, you know, $10 million a year in contributions. I'm just picking a number. $10 million a year in contributions to their campaign.
Sure.
That's the problem.
You know, two of the things happening right now in the housing industry, and it's heartbreaking. It's actually gut wrenching. But right now, for about during the Trump administration, there were no rentals available because all the rentals were taken, and people were buying new homes, and they were buying first-time buyers had an opportunity to buy new homes. Today, I can pick up the newspaper. I can look online at Facebook Marketplace, and I can see rental after rental after rental after rental. Do you know why they're for rent? Because the average working American cannot afford rent. It's not that they don't need somewhere to live, they can't afford rent. I have gone into so many communities in Ball Ground, Georgia, and ridden through and seen everybody's stuff sitting out on the sidewalk where they're being evicted.
Yep.
I went through the other day to preview a house for a client, and there was the baby's toys, the baby's clothes, the baby's everything sitting outside in the rain. And I called my client and I said, son, you don't want to be in that neighborhood. They're already starting evictions. I said, you know, we can't put you in a bad situation because evidently the downturn, let's just wait and buy you something later. I said, you know, evidently the payments are so high that people cannot make them on what they're making for a living and buying groceries. You have a choice. Do you put food on the table?
Right.
Do you put a roof over your kid's head? What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do? And it's the saddest time in America. Today I think there were like nine rentals that had been on the market for over 2 months, which is unheard of. But first month's rent, security deposit, and last month's rent was over $75 or $7,900. And I'm like, who does that? Who can come up with that? That's $8,000. You always teach people to have that little budget put away.
Yeah, 12 months worth of your
Most people
expenses
don't
in
have
savings.
50 cents put away because they're trying to keep food on the table.
Well, most people can't, and
it's sad.
You know, Chris Martinson said something one time. He said the drug crisis in our country is because we have demoralized our younger generation.
Sure.
You know, and one of the things that I have conversations with a lot, not so much more because, you know, people get tired of talking to me about it, I guess, is I hear the baby boomers from time to time go, these kids just don't get it. They don't understand what we did. They just need to make more sacrifices. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, back in 1970, 1980, yeah, interest rates were a lot higher, but your money purchased more. Okay, you had more.
A brick 3-bedroom, 2-bath on 1.8 acres, $55,000.
Yeah, well, and I can't remember what the average income was.
13 3/4 for the interest.
13 3/4, but your income in relation to the value of that home was a lot higher.
Our income was pretty good because we were self-employed with 4 businesses at the time. So
yeah,
you know,
$100,000 back in 1980 went a whole lot further than what $100,000 does today.
Yeah.
So the problem is you know, college cost a lot less, and then you got corruption in the college system, and they're putting that burden on the kids through debt. Money becomes easy, so people borrow money. They got credit card debts, and asset price inflation has caused the assets the baby boomers own go up dramatically, and regulation has caused the cost of construction to go up. You know, really, if you look at the numbers, the average wage hasn't really increased since 1980. And I can't remember the statistics behind, but that, y'all can go prove me wrong, but really there's enough evidence to prove that inflation adjusted, it's not really increased any. So asset prices have gone up relative to purchasing power. And you've got a whole generation that their parents are looking at them like, you know, their grandparents are looking at them like they're stupid, but they don't really understand those grandparents don't really understand what they have allowed society to do to their grandkids.
These kids are up against it.
Right. So, and look, I deal with people, and y'all know me enough to know I'm going to call it like it is. Don't ask my opinion unless you want to know what it is. I may be wrong, but I'm not going to be, I'm not confused. Let's put it that way. And if I'm wrong, I will change my opinion.
You're like Granny Harris, the truth will stand.
The truth will stand the test.
Whether you want it to or not, the truth will stand.
You know, and the people who love you the most will tell you the truth.
That's right.
It's the people who are weak.
Sometimes you don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I know.
They'll tell you the truth.
It does sting.
Well, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to do one song from an event that the guys filmed, and it is at the Christian school here? I think so. I think so, yeah. So we're going to do that, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Whether you're in the mood for chicken strips, a delicious burger, our classic banana split, or an upside-down thick blizzard treat, we've got you covered. Hot and fresh food every day, every time, and delicious DQ soft serve make the perfect pair at your favorite place. Not fast food, fan food fast. Your Blue Ridge, Ellijay, and Jasper Dairy Queens are your meet, eat, and treat headquarters.
Thank you for choosing DQ. How may I serve you?
Elmer loves to giggle. Elmer's mommy taught him that laughing can help when you have a big feeling, like when you feel happy. Make sure to celebrate when you're happy and laugh it out. Love your mind.
See us anytime you can.
Whether you're swimming in the sea or splashing in the pool, making a masterpiece, or just making memories, writing a great American novel, or writing your term paper that's due tomorrow. Whatever you do in life, Farmers is here to protect it. For all your insurance needs, call Donald Curtis in Blue Ridge.
Then I saw a scroll in the right hand of the one who was sitting on the throne. There was writing on the inside and on the outside of the scroll, and it was sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a strong angel who shouted with a loud voice, "Who is worthy to break the seals on this scroll and open it?" But no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth was able to open the scroll and read it. Then I began to weep bitterly, because no one was found worthy to open the scroll and read it. But one of the 24 elders said to me, "Stop weeping. Look, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the heir to David's throne, he has won the victory. He is worthy to open the scroll and its 7 seals." Then I saw a lamb that looked as if it had been slaughtered. But it was now standing between the throne and the 4 living beings and among the 24 elders. He had 7 horns and 7 eyes, which represent the 7-fold Spirit of God that is sent out into every part of the earth. He stepped forward and took the scroll from the right hand of the one sitting on the throne. And when he took the scroll, the 4 living beings and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Each one had a harp, and they held gold bowls filled with incense, which are the prayers of God's people. And they sang a new song with these words, "You are worthy to take the scroll and break its seals and open it. For you were slaughtered, and your blood has ransomed people for God from every tribe and every language and people and nation. And you have caused them to become a kingdom of priests for our God. And they will reign on this earth. Then I looked again, and I heard voices of thousands and millions of angels around the throne, and of the living beings and the elders. And they sang in a mighty chorus, "Worthy is the Lamb who was slaughtered." Worthy is the Lamb who was slaughtered to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. And then I heard every creature in heaven and on the earth and under the earth and in the sea they sang, "Blessing and honor and glory and power belong to the one sitting on the throne and to the Lamb forever and ever." And the 4 living beings said, "Amen." And the 24 elders fell down and worshiped the Lamb.
Creation
what we're going to talk about now. Our favorite subject, Joe Bummer Biden.
Oh.
You talk about a mess. He is leaving a mess, but he has cleaned up his own house. The crime family known as the Bidens will put Al Capone to shame because theirs has all been hidden and hidden and hidden, and now the hiding has been opened, gift wrapped. Hunter Biden has been forgiven, and now what's going to happen, Paul Kiker?
Not only pardon, but pardon from every potential or criminal activity. Is it January 1st, 2014, all the way up until present day?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
I think it's hysterically obvious that Jill, the leader of the crime family, said at dinner, listen, Joe, the same woman who sent this man out into the country, into the world, he's in Africa today embarrassing us. The poor man, I feel bad for Joe Biden because he's the kingpin of the crime family, but he's not the leader, she is.
well, I tried to give the benefit of the doubt, always do,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
I did too,
But-
I don't anymore.
But the confirming evidence for me was because what's important about the date that they started with is that's right before Hunter Biden joined the Burisma board over in Ukraine.
Exactly.
And people
How
have-
many millions, billions have we sent them?
Yeah, people have claimed that that's a money laundering opportunity to
It is.
recycle that back into the family. So there's two things that have been done since the election. The American people spoke, popular vote, Senate, House, presidency, and said we don't want any more war. That's the biggest thing that Trump ran on.
Mm-hmm.
Putin has been saying for some time, here's a line, if you allow Ukraine to have ballistic missiles to be used in deep strike in Russia, so they've done that. So they've escalated the potential risk of the war, which is ridiculous because Ukraine is losing.
Mm-hmm.
They're sending tons of money over there. $1 billion goes to Africa when we
Yesterday.
still haven't even helped the people of our victims
North
in the
Carolina.
US. North
Yeah,
Carolina.
North Carolina, they're sitting there in tents.
But more than anything, you know, what just really tells you the truth is there's clip after clip after clip after clip. Biden says, I trust the justice system. I'm going to let it plan out. I will not pardon my son. And then he comes out with this blanket pardon, which is unprecedented in history.
Mm-hmm.
There's never been another time where there's a period of time. So you got to think about it like this, folks. I don't like saying folks because Biden says that all the time.
Oh, no.
And y'all.
People.
I'll say y'all.
Yeah.
If it comes to find out that he's murdered 10 people, he's scot-free, right? So this is just completely covering up the closet. And I believe it's an abuse of a position of power. And I just believe it's wrong.
Well, I believe that when Cash Patel is finished, that there will be, there's $50 million that's been documented that went through the Biden family from grandchildren to uncles to brothers to sister-in-laws. It went there. It's documented. It's documented. And now that Christopher Wray is going to be unemployed, thank you, Jesus, he's going to be unemployed, and Cash Patel is going to be in there. This man he's so brilliant. He's so fair. He's so honest. He's so straight up. There's nothing in his closet. There's no ulterior motive for him. It is cleaning up America. I am so excited.
Well, you know what the standard thing is, and this is horrible. This is what lying does. Oh, you've had affairs, you've done this, you've done that. Like, it's to the point, seriously, can y'all come up with something else to accuse people of?
Oh, yeah.
And that's so unfair for the women who have actually been abused.
Yeah.
That's the one slander that they throw at everybody. But yeah, I mean, we really need to get in there. And the only solution to this is bring to light before the American people to judge. The government is supposed to serve the people. Release the Epstein files, release the Diddy files.
He swears they're going to do that on January 20th.
I pray they do.
They swear they're going to, and I would say that there will be some movie stars who were paid $2.5 million to do an hour-long interview with Kamala that will wish that she hadn't done that because she's on that list too, I understand.
Well, here's the thing. There's a lot of time between now and January 20th. And if it really is as corrupt as what it appears that it'll be, and the next piece of evidence for me was this blanket pardon of Hunter Biden. And then you hear the reports of all this money being just blown across the places to line the pockets of the people that are supporting them. do we get there, right? Are they going to escalate us into World War III to cover their own secrets? I mean, think about people that you know that had everything to lose if their secrets come out and how desperate they were.
Oh, yeah.
Because if the corruption's really that bad, there should be trials for treason. There should be trials. There should be some major consequences, and entire family names will go down in history and be a curse word.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of time between now and January 20th, and the only thing that I pray is that the Lord lays bare on both sides.
Yeah,
If you're a Republican,
absolutely.
if you're an independent, I don't care who you are. If you've had corrupt dealings that has increased the burden on the American people, and you have used your position of power to line your own pockets when you got up there and swore that you were going to serve the American people, then you need to suffer consequences.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm excited. I'm thankful. His cabinet is coming together, and truly, I want a picture of the Biden cabinet just for my memory, and then I want a picture of President Trump's cabinet. It is such a good day in America. It is such a good day in America.
Hopeful.
It is hopeful. It is hopeful. We are full of hope. We are not full of joy, because that's a word that Goofy used. Now, speaking of Goofy, all the money she spent, are they gonna do an audit of her? And is she going to have to be accountable for all the money she spent during her campaign, and now she's how many million in the hole?
You know, I don't know. There should be, and the media should pay there should be issues. So, you know, supposedly she paid Oprah Winfrey $1 million.
$2.5 million is what they said it
$2.5
ended up
million.
being. Yeah.
She paid Beyonce
11 million.
Again, that tells you those people serve money. They don't serve the truth.
Yeah. If you called me and said, I'm running for president, and I was some big hoity-toity, I would say, God, I'll be there for you. I wouldn't want a check, because that to me would look like insider trading.
Well, and if you got a check,
You
you
know.
should disclose it.
Sure.
You should say, hey, people, I
showed up, but I got $11 million to do it.
Yeah, I got a conflict of interest here, instead of standing on the front row of church and raising your hands and going, I am holier than thou.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
not all people that do that. I'm just saying we all
Yeah.
know somebody that is.
Yeah.
I am holier than thou, and I'm supporting this person. And oh, by the way, my back pocket's a lot fatter than it was before. That's criminal.
That's
wrong.
criminal, yeah.
Well, maybe not criminal.
Well,
It's
is.
unethical.
Yeah, yeah.
It's unethical. It's not honest. It's not true. And if you represent yourself in that media position as being unbiased and truthful, then you have to disclose that.
Speaking of criminal, I want to, because you know people with money. We are trying to raise money for, and this is criminal, that this Veterans Memorial here in Ellijay has had some problems because of erosion.
Okay.
And Lucy Harris and her team are trying to raise money to save this memorial. It's the end of the year tax season, guy. Your accountant or your financial advisor would say, do you want to spend it on a 501c? Is that what it is?
501c3.
501c3. Or do you want to send it to the government? You want to spend it on this. If you watched yesterday's program, you know that we need $150,000 to save and redo this monument. It is so beautiful. It is so special. It crosses the Coosawattee, and we all know that water is powerful. And the next time it is designed, it will be done a little differently.
Yeah.
So a lesson learned. But please, if you have $50 that you would have a choice, pay taxes on it or give it to us for this. So,
Hey,
so
and one
there you
last thing I'll leave people with, if you've been blessed, there are a lot of people out there that are hurting.
Yeah.
I'm not a believer in enabling people.
No.
Okay? But there are people that are trying hard. There are organizations that'll give. And there's something in life that if you're generous and you give, and I've told my kids, tithing is the antibiotic to greed. Okay? And you're building relationship in the community. Give back. That's our responsibility for those of us that have been well rewarded. Don't just give anything. I'm very careful. If they don't if they don't give more than 95%, that goes to the end ministry, I don't give.
Yeah.
This is something, they'll put 100% of it in it.
Yep,
You know,
absolutely.
be generous. You will be rewarded for it. There's no doubt.
I told Joe Kelly McCutcheon to just write a check. It's only $150,000. While he's got that in his shoe, in his sock probably. But
Sherry.
seriously, y'all, everybody help if you can. If you know a veteran that you love and you want to
Yeah.
remember them, it's a great way to do that. So, well, thank you for being here today. You know what? We can't change the world, but we can encourage people to be a part of the change. You and I together can't do it, but all of us together, we can be a part of a change.
We can. One person at a time.
One person
so
at a
if
time.
we choose to be a light, to be of integrity, to admit when we're wrong, to let go of our pride, if there's a bunch of us that choose and we choose to do that, and then we bring somebody else along and somebody else along, that can expand. So literally we can, on the big picture, if we choose to seek God, choose to seek integrity, choose to seek ethical behavior, that's a light that ends up being in the world. And people go, hey, there's something different about them. I may not like their personality, but I can trust that person, and maybe I should behave like that, and we get a better society.
That's right. That's right. Today, our better society starts right now when we today do one thing for somebody else with nothing. You're not going to be rewarded in any way except to be a good person.
Yes.
So find somebody today that you can help, whether it's go to the thrift store, make a donation, whether it's make a donation to the veterans. There's something you can do today that will start the path one day and one deed at a time.
Help somebody who does not have the capacity to help you back.
That's right. That's right. We'll see you again. Don't forget, we're on YouTube, and you can go to YouTube, and now you can see I've had every hairdo, every weight, every look, everything you've ever seen, because we've got a bunch of old stuff on there now.
I even had braces at one point.
Yeah, you did have braces. If you were ever on this program, you're going to be showing up on YouTube, because we are piling it full. I had this theory, I'm going to die, and somebody's going to be saying, well, I wonder what she did with all them programs. And so now they're all going to be on YouTube. I hope that you will tune in to YouTube and subscribe. And as you know, YouTube is free, and we just leave here at ETC, and it goes right to YouTube, and it shares you, and it shares our community with the world. And our community is a pretty good community, isn't it?
It is. It's a great place.
A great place. So come to visit Gilmer County, Pickens County, Fannin County, all the way to Turtletown, Tennessee. We hope to see you soon. And don't forget, the Ball Ground Parade is Friday night at 7 o'clock. We will be in the Roberts Building next at the corner of Old Dawsonville and 372 with refreshments and a place for you to rest and just come and visit and enjoy a little bit of time with us before the best parade in North Georgia. I'll see you again soon. Bye, y'all.